Hi everybody, welcome to my final presentation of my Capstone project. My name's Annalisa. I am a technology and IP lawyer by way of background, and for the last 2 years, myself and two co-founders have been building Origin 20. So before I get stuck in, I want to ask you guys 3 questions. First of all, please put your hand up if you think that technology can be used for good. Okay, great. Please, can you put your hand up if you've ever heard about angel investing or VC? Can someone define angel investing for me, please? Anyone? Frey.
Um, Investing in an early stage company.
Amazing. Yeah, spot on. And last but not least, have any of you guys ever invested in an emerging market? So Africa, AMENA. John, you're the only one? Okay, cool. We've got 2. All right. Amazing. Great. So now that I've set up the story, I want to introduce you guys to the next generation of investors. That video was a little introduction that we released out to the world to introduce ourselves to people that weren't really familiar with our story, and also explains why our name is Origin 20. So as you saw, some of the stats that came up is that Africa accounts for 20% of global landmass. It also accounts for 20% of the world's population, and it also has a median age of 19.2. 70% of Africans, continental Africans, are actually under the age of 30, which means that there is a consumer group here that are innovative, they are focused, and they are young and ready to use technology, but they lack foundational infrastructure. So Origin 20, we are building a diverse global collective, supercharging their angel investing journeys and backing early stage African startups that are building the future, what we call foundational infrastructure startups. So we believe in the power of the collective. We leverage our collective expertise and resources to source, invest, and supercharge some of the best early startups in the African continent. Each new member in our network is strengthened because of diverse skill sets, perspectives, and benefits that they bring to investors and investees alike. Currently, we have about 50 members that are part of our collective that live all across the world. So we've got Kenya, we've got Ghana, we've got the UK, we've got the US, and they do a range of different things from consulting, engineering, UX design, law, finance, IB. And essentially what that means is we are able to offer our startups and our founders a network, not just globally, but also academically as well. So that video is actually one of my favorite restaurants in Ghana. It's called Kozo. And the reason that I've put it there, and the title of this page is called It's a Lifestyle Baby, because one of the things that we've been doing across this capstone is thinking about our market positions for our startups. So traditionally, VCs and angel collectives are very rigid, they're very blue, they're very corporate. But actually what we think is the best way to reach this young generation of Africans that are rising up is actually to align ourselves with a more foundational infrastructure, but mixing in with media, arts, and fashion branding, not only to become an investment, but also a cultural milestone and cornerstone on the African continent. And the question that you may ask is, how are you going to do that, Annalisa? Well, we have actually been in talks with Avios. If you guys don't know, Avios is the partner for British Airways, American Express, and they essentially do the points that you get on your MasterCard for Delta. We've been having early conversations with them about giving all of our members Avios points for investing, which means that rather than just having returns, you're also going to have Avios points, which means you can use them to get cheaper flights, hotels, and whatever else that you would get with any sort of major consumer brand. We are also partnering with fashion companies to launch our own merch, which is going to be reusable and using technology as well in that way. We are hosting a range of lifestyle events, so we're doing rooftop mixers, technology dinners, where we're not only having experts in culture and art, but also in the VC space coming and interacting with one another. Essentially what we want to do is to reposition our market strategy to be culturally attuned with lifestyle branding. And we also want to develop leading technology-enabled investment platform that organizes and operationalizes collective investments. We believe that both parts are super important. Traditionally, VCs and angel investing is for the super rich and the super elite. Actually, what we want to do is democratize the process, because we believe that everyone should be able to invest in transformational technology. So this goes on to our mission, which I've already touched upon. We believe that anyone should be able to reshape society as we know it, as an investor or as a founder. So the founders that we fund have the ability to reshape societies through their companies, and investing and owning a part of these companies can also create generational wealth. However, these are the blockers that are occurring right now. Investments are inaccessible due to lack of deal visibility. If you're not plugged into the VC network, you're never going to know what deals are around. They require high capital and accredited investor requirements across the US and the EU. There's a few openly available investment platforms. There's a lack of investor education, which is necessary if you are going to become an investor. And also there's a lack of engagement with the African ecosystem. And these are all the things that Origin 20 hopes to change. So, the problem. Whilst I've spoken to you about the power of the number of 20 in relation to the African continent, actually 1.47% of US venture capital funding goes to the African continent, and actually less than 1% of global VC funding goes to the African continent. Last year, Africa experienced a 50% drop in active investors, going from 1,149 in 2022 to just 569 active investors in 2023. This obviously is because of an economic downturn. We're all job searching, we're all raising. We know how difficult it is at the moment. And the African continent is being disproportionately impacted. The African tech ecosystem raised $3.5 billion in 2023, 46% decline from 2022. And this obviously highlights an urgent need to address these barriers to investment and sustain growth. In comparison, in 2022, the US secured $238.3 billion in VC funding in comparison to Africa's $6.5 billion. The stark disparity obviously underscores the need to bridge funding, and the way we believe that is to ensure that there are more angels that are getting the best deals. And why, you may ask? Because actually what we've seen is an annual increase of over 30% on year to year on African tech deals. This is our thesis. There's over 200 million people of African descent living outside of the continent. We call them the diasporans. And there's an untapped potential here to mobilize this community to invest in transformative technology for Africa's 1.4 billion plus population that's increasing year to year. Another thing to note about these 200 million people, they are becoming the global world's fastest consumer group in terms of social mobility, in terms of capital, in terms of spare cash. So they're actually the group of people that not just we, but actually companies as a whole should be targeted. So the African diaspora have grown and will grow to over 25% of the global population, and their potential as a catalyst for economic and social change remains underutilized. That's where Origin 20 comes in. We want to capture these 200 million people of African descent and get them to funnel some of their money back into the African continent, which obviously benefits them in terms of returns on investments, but also benefits the continent as a whole. So, to put it simply, Origin 20 revolutionizes the way people invest in and connect with Africa. So our journey thus far, across this capstone over the past 3.5 months, I've been looking at 2 segments for our investor platform. The first one being the investor segment, the dashboard, which you're going to see in a minute, which is essentially how angels are going to be able to invest and kind of put their deals through. And then we've got the membership segment. We also want the platform to have a space where members can connect with one another. As I've already said, our membership is global. So we want to have a space where they can message and talk and go for coffee and use SpotMe and use all the other brilliant ideas in the room today. So this is some of our early mock-ups, wireframe of the platform. So here we've got our brand, nice and slick if I do say so myself. And then you've got your login page into the account. And then this takes you to probably, this is the first iteration, I should also say. This takes you to probably the most important part. So here you have your Avios integration. So once you click this button, it'll take you to the Avios point so that you can get your points. You've got membership stats, you've got your active deals that are going on here. You've got portfolio health at the top, and then how much money you have available to invest. So this particular user has $10,000 to invest. And then here we just have a little bit of our community section, which we're still filling out. So essentially just a place to chat and mingle and talk amongst yourselves. This is some of the early prototype feedback. People really love the fact that we are mobilizing underrepresented investors, and we're also lowering the entry bar for angel investing and collectivization as a whole. Startup vetting is a highlight as we vet all of our startups in accordance with international standards as well. That's through our partner network on the ground. And also, Ida said that she absolutely loves our brand aesthetic. It feels fresh, modern, and inclusive, and that's exactly what we were going for. The lifestyle elements like exclusive events and curated content stand out, but she says she would like to see more regional diversity in the offerings so that she can feel more connected to the global community. So these are some of the things that we are going to take into our engineers when we are building the next iteration of the platform. Next, we have Ivy. Ivy is a 20-year-old asset manager with 7 years experience in managing portfolios across diverse industries, including sustainability focus. She's based in Nairobi, Kenya, also studying at Columbia at the moment. She recognizes that East Africa's dynamic investment landscape has untapped potential, and she's looking to expand her reach beyond the Kenyan market. She's looking forward to having an eye on strategic focuses for high growth opportunities across the African infrastructure. So we have a continental African with an international focus, you have me who's diasporan, and then you have Bridget who has a passion for Africa. And those are our 3 customer profiles. I've spoken to you a lot about investing. What do we actually invest in? Let me tell you. So we invest in exceptional teams that are building highly scalable infrastructure-led solutions. So we assess opportunities specifically focused around fintech, deep tech, and B2B SaaS. We aim for 1 to 2 investments per quarter, predominantly at pre-seed stage. So that's about 20%. Our aim is to follow on with promising opportunities at seed and Series A. We're true early stage investors, so we invest at the first pre-seed or second seed round. Our target checks is between 25 and 50,000 at a 5 to 10 million valuation. We evaluate opportunities through our own investment process, which we've built out across a number of years. And we consider startups across the whole of the African continent. So right now we're actually trying to focus more on our Francophone pipeline because it's not as rich as other parts of our pipeline. So we add value to the startups, not just financially, but also we've assembled an angel collective with institutional expertise networks across the globe, and that is particularly valuable. One of the programs we run is called Portfolio Plus, and that is for startups that we invest in and the ones that we also reject. And essentially, we give them feedback and tell them how to action the pain points that we realize when they pitch to us to make sure they don't make those same mistakes going forward. Sometimes in our Portfolio Plus program, founders will come to us with a very specific problem, like we are strong in West Africa, but now we want to scale to Kenya. And in that instant, we'll be like, do you know who's in our network? Ivy. Speak to Ivy. She's the perfect person to let you know how to navigate the Kenya markets. That's exactly how we add value to founders. This is our timeline. So we essentially aim to partner with 100 investors across the next year and deploy over 100,000 in capital and obtain investment to build the investment platform that I showed you earlier. The brand was established in 2022. We had a legal restructure in 2023 due to changes in regulation. And right now we are doing onboarding and brand partnerships. We are hoping next year to raise for our investment platform and then deploy 100,000 across the quarter in 4 to 5 investment. And then next year we're going to be increasing that to 200. And then by 2027 we're going to be scaling. So this is our sector thesis. The African continent is an edge case, both in its problem and its potential. And I actually want to show you, please bear with me, you know the screen is a bit funny. I want to show you 2 of the startups that we're really excited about and hoping to invest in the next quarter. So this is Mono, and this is one of the companies in our fintech pilot. Essentially, Mono helps businesses, African, continental African, to access high quality financial data and direct payment bank accounts. Actually, do you know who needs this? America. Because your banking infrastructure sucks. But that's besides the point. So essentially, they're trusted by Flutterwave, which is one of Africa's first unicorns, Carbon, Ren Money. And what they're trying to do essentially is to bring tomorrow's solutions to life by having customer-focused solutions for SMEs, very similar to what Sacha was saying, across the African continent. So this is one of the fintech companies that we are super excited about and hoping to invest in the next quarter. The other one that I would like to show you is a health tech company. So going to switch screens again. So Ashron Health is one of the companies in our health tech pipeline. And what they essentially do, don't know why the screen's disappearing. Okay, I'm just going to tell you what they do. Essentially what they do is they allow direct transcription of across 200 African dialects and accents into their platform so that doctors can spend less time actually note-taking whilst they're meeting patients, and it stores it directly into an SCRM system. So these are all the hospitals right now that are currently using the technology. So yeah, that's one of the hospitals in Ghana that I've visited before. So we think this technology is just super amazing. And then they've got a little bit an explanation as to why speech. So they've said that developing countries see a disproportional large number of patients per day, sometimes 60 in a day, but they lack the productivity tools that we have out here in the West. So essentially what they're trying to do is they've built a language learning model that allows doctors to type at an average of 21 words per minute, and that's at 60 patients per day. So this allows a paperless transition and allows physicians to be able to push back, and it raises data entry, accelerating ERM adoption so that hospitals can maximize the benefit of digitalized care. So here we are, they've got some more stats here, and then they've got a demo. So this is another startup that we are super excited about. Switching again. So I hope what you saw from our sector thesis is that our companies don't only offer incredible returns of investment, but are actually transformative. When we talk about foundational infrastructure problems and solutions, that's what we're talking about. Things that probably none of you guys, by God's grace, have ever experienced, like going to a doctor's and them not being able to take down notes fast enough to be able to prescribe you the medicine that's needed. And that's why the work that Origin 20 is doing is so important. Then we're going to go on to a market segmentation. What I've done for my market segmentation, rather than talking about other markets, I've just spoken about our pipeline, and in terms of our areas of focus, geographies, and then also fintech. So you can see that right now, as it stands, 30% of our pipeline comes from South Africa, 25% coming from Ghana, 6.7% comes from Senegal, and then 38.3% comes from Nigeria. Now, Nigeria is an absolute beast when it comes to the technology space in the African continent. They actually, I think they have 8 out of 10 unicorns that have come out of the African continent in the last 5 to 7 years. So we always have to keep an eye out on the Nigerian market. Then we have deep tech, B2B SaaS, health tech, fintech. Fintech is an area of ours that is particularly strong because of the background of the team itself. In terms of fintech, that is the sector that is most developed on the African continent. We have about, top of my head, I think 5,370 startups in the fintech space that are doing amazing things, and that's why like payment structures and infrastructure is really, really well developed in the African continent. So we kind of want to see those same verticals expanded through healthcare and B2B SaaS as well as deep tech. Then we've got a comparative analysis here. So we've got Origin 20. So we've got our product, which is our investment platform that allows combines cultural values. We've got our service, which is obviously the lifestyle brand, the global affinity, dual products and model a membership with a focus on education. One of the things that we do is what we call VC masterclasses. Some of the angels in our collective have never invested before. So they have to go through a 6-month training program, a series of masterclasses where we bring the leading VC investors, angel investors on the African continent, to teach our members how to invest, what are the risks, what are the verticals, and have a really deep dive into the sectors that they're going to be looking at. In terms of price, our membership events are sponsor-based, so we usually do events. This year we did an event at New York Tech Week, which was amazing. Some of you came and that was amazing, so that stuff is free. But in terms of joining, you need to be able to write a check size of $1,000. So it really is a very, very low entry. Usually to join an angel collective, you need to be able to sign checks of about 40,000, which would be like 10,000 per quarter. So we're really trying to reduce the entry point for angel investing. We've got Hoke, which is a hybrid platform. They are kind of like the one that I have my eye on. They've deployed about 2 million in the last 3 years. Similar sector focus to us, but they are just do the traditional angel investing with some community engagement events. Then you've got London Africa Investment Forum. This is essentially just an investor network where people come together and share deal flow and discuss, but they don't do any of the investing side of things. So this is our competitive analysis. And I think what this tells me and the team is that we have something super strong, especially post the work with the rebrand, brand partnerships, all of the conversations we're having now. And looking forward to really scaling this baby out next year. So, last but not least, please do not judge this slide. ChatGPT made it. I don't do finance. But essentially, this is just our Culti subscription model. So our aim is to have 25 new members sign up every quarter, which will give us 25,000 to deploy, and that's how we're going to hit the 100,000 goal that I told you guys about before. And some of the expenses, we actually run the business quite low. Myself and the team, we all do this freelance. We don't pay ourselves a salary. And yeah, other than the platform that we are looking to get some grant funding on, everything else kind of runs itself until one of us decides to quit our jobs and run it full time. Then we're going to scale it up. So that is it in terms of financial model. And then we've got revenue projections for the next year. So we've got 25 new members, 1K, syndication fees. So to take a step back, one of the ways in which the business makes money is through syndication fees. So that's the charge that you charge investors to do all of the deal packaging to allow an investment to go through. And then we also do educational resource sales. So I spoke to you guys a little bit earlier about Hoke, which is one of our big competitors. We actually sell them our VC masterclasses and we make revenue off of that. So this is essentially just the combined revenue projections across all of our different streams. And one of the things that is not here, but the business model canvas exercise that we did was great at seeing about how we can make more business streams. One of the ideas we have is actually white labeling the platform so that other angel collectives can actually use it. So that is something that we're looking to do early 2026. So the team is myself, Annalisa Mensah. I have a co-founder called Liam Gray and Rumbi. They are absolutely amazing. They have so much experience, not just in tech, but also investing in the Africa ecosystem. We actually met at a program called Newton Venture Program, which is run by London Business School, Local Globe, and Silicon Valley Bank. As it was called, now it's called HSBC Innovation. And we were there together for the first inaugural program. And we decided to connect and we decided to then build Origin 20 off of the back of that. So that is amazing. And then our asks. If you scan this QR code here, please everybody. our ask is simple. We're not actually looking to take any of your money. All I want you guys to do is please follow Origin20 on Twitter. I know it's called X now, but it's Twitter to me. And if you're a developer, engineer, or an investor, please come and have a conversation with me afterwards. You can also find a link to become a member of our community. So if you're interested in angel investing or you're interested in the Africa space, you want to know more, I would say please do sign up and subscribe to us. So that is it from me. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email hello@origin20.com. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, that's the marathon. Thank you so much.
So precious.
Heavy.
You want us to put down $1,000, right?
Frey can afford 40. Anyways.
So how would it be considered a domestic wire? Or how would you take my money via international, like Swift or SEPA?
Yeah, so actually what we're looking to do is build a Stripe integration into the investment platform. So we'll just go straight through Stripe. So what would happen is you would log in, and then you'd go to your dashboard, and then you click your Avios or your Delta, whichever one. So it takes you through to the BA store, and then the transaction will go through Stripe from there. So it's linked. Yeah.
Via credit card?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or debit card, whichever one you prefer. Yes.
Thank
John.
you so much for that presentation. That was very thorough.
Thank you.
My question, historically, there's been like a prevalence of government inefficiency.
Yes.
Instability,
Yes.
and this has led to a lot of macroeconomic issues.
Of course.
So, how does your thesis protect you against such exposure?
Okay, that's a great question.
How does it protect you for what?
Against such exposure, against like a microeconomic or regulatory changes. One of the things that I think is super important about the founding team and the work we've done over the past 3 years is we have a range of founders that have gone through having to restructure, having to incorporate in the US, in Delaware, having to deal with regulatory issues when they're expanding across the African continent. So there's a breadth of knowledge within the collective that is really useful and helpful for that. Also, one of the things that I've been looking at is building a network of African lawyers that can help navigate those issues. At the end of the day, we can't control government regulations and policies. All we can do is invest in startups that we believe are going to transform the outlook of Africa and back them till the end. And the end is when they fail, which happens a lot, or when they succeed and become unicorns. Actually, on that point, there is a couple of stats that I would love to read to you guys. I don't know them offhand, but I think it's super important to kind of frame what we're talking about. So Africa typically targets a return on investment which ranges between 20 to 30%. That's significantly higher benchmark than in the US or Europe. We have about 70% of acquisitions and exits being mergers and acquisitions, but we're looking to expand into public listings, especially as the South African and the Nigerian ecosystem matures. Returns range between 3 to 10% XR. And across a 7 or 10 year horizon, a fund like Origin20 can see about a 25% return on investment across 5 or 8 successful investors. So this is, as much as sometimes when we think about Africa, sometimes people think that it's a charity case or we're doing the work because the people need it. No, this is an economic opportunity like no other. Like when we talk about the 200 million people that are diasporan, when we talk about the fact that 70% of the population is under 30. As the global landscape and the economic powers shift across the world, Africa is going to be the next frontier. So for us, this is not just about, helping doctors scribe or building schools. No, this is about making money. Like, this is VC. Capital's in the name. So I want to emphasize that to show that this, just because it's mission driven, does not mean that it's not going to make a stupid return on investment. That there's a balance for both. So yeah, to answer your question, we navigate it as and when it comes. Yes, Dawn.
Hi, Annalisa.
Hi, Dawn.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you.
You've been continuing since
Yeah, since we sat.
half a year ago.
Yeah.
Whatever. I have some questions.
Yes,
So,
please.
so it's a fund.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Now, is it also a subscription? So I want to be an angel investor.
Mhm.
And I want to do that because you're giving me special knowledge.
Yeah.
And also special access to particular deals.
Yeah.
In this way.
Yeah.
Am I also, so I'm paying you for like an annual subscription?
Yeah.
Like to be a member?
Yeah.
Am I paying you for that as well?
So
member, or am I just committing to X number of dollars to invest per year, per whatever?
yeah,
How is that? I want you
yeah.
to walk me through that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, right now, all we're taking is your 1,000 or your 10,000, whatever your commitment fund is. Everything else is kind of dealt with in terms of syndication fees. That's the money we take to put the deal together. So typically, what a VC deal would be like is you give us the money, we do all the paperwork, we do the NDAs, we do the SPAs, we do the stock share certificates, all that data, and then we send it across to you, and that's how you have legal ownership of the stock, and that's how you get the equity in the company. So right now, that equity section, the work that comes from a syndication fee, we don't charge a membership fee, but we,
That's what
yeah,
I want you to start thinking about.
yes,
Don't want you to
we
think about
so
like,
take the money.
It's because I want you to look at the early TechCrunch model,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's what Jason was a very big mouthpiece.
Yeah,
He talked about angel investing.
yeah,
For those of you who don't know about angel
Yeah.
investing, come learn about it.
Yeah.
So there's an education piece.
Yeah.
You're touching on all these points.
yeah,
But it's not formalized.
yeah,
So I want you to formalize them.
Yeah.
More. Someone, and I'd say more than someones,
Mhm.
have to make it your full-time job.
Yes.
So it's like that's what it has to be.
Absolutely.
You have to form an org,
I know.
an entity.
Yeah.
To be able to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah, so we're actually incorporated. We've been incorporated for about 3 years, and we've been working on this for 3 years. It's just been
You're
part time.
incorporated, so the entity is as the.
Yes.
As a subscription, as a membership.
Yeah. So
As well as then that membership has the fund.
yeah, so we already have a fund. We have a legal structure that works operationally, and right now all of our members join for free. Entry into
No. And members also then have to start.
yes, they will start paying. Right now they join for free. They will start paying at a point in the future. But essentially, in order to join, you need to have transferred your commitment, because we don't want jokers. Like, don't tell me you're going to give me 10,000, then I text you and you ghost me. So if you want to be part of this, yeah,
To be part of this community.
absolutely,
I'm also bringing you deal flow.
absolutely,
And so, no, you need to, and then also I'm part of a community
Yeah.
that I want to be a part of.
yeah,
So, have you ever thought about having like a mini conference?
yeah,
I know you guys want to have a global kind of presence
Yeah.
as well. And so that means there's an education around
Mhm.
that for New York's probably a little bit better, but
Yeah.
even us, I don't know how many of us
Mhm.
are really investing or even sort of know about
Mhm.
the landscape. That's very particular knowledge that you
yeah,
it's really important.
yeah.
I don't want you giving me that away for free.
Noted, Dawn.
But now, okay, whatever, in the future.
Noted, Dawn.
Anyway,
Thank
Yes.
you.
I've got ideas.
Thank you. Abhishek,
Yes, excellent presentation.
Thank you
and
so
I love
much.
the idea.
thank you so much.
I wanted to know
Yes.
more about about the journey and the
Yes.
you mentioned that it's already going on and you're
Mhm.
working as a part-time there.
Mhm.
So what are the difficulties you're facing and how are you implementing the learnings which you had from the Capstone class?
That's a great question. Difficulties that we're facing is predominantly time. So I manage a community of 50 members at the moment. They live across the world. I have to pull together events for them, and obviously then we have deal flow vetting. We have kind of sustaining our partnership network on the African continent. So we actually have the making of the deals and the trying to bring new members on board. So I think the difficulty is, like Dawn was saying, someone needs to work on it full time. Yeah, and it's the organizational piece. So right now we've taken it to a good point as 3 people, a 3-person team that's working part time. But the reason why I chose to do it as my capstone, as I said to Prof, was that I wanted to kind of build out our strategy going forward and spend time doing the thinking so we could implement. So that's definitely been good. The exciting things about the journey, our New York Tech Week event was amazing. We had over 500 people subscribed, full house. It was just crazy to bring like Origin 20 in Africa into the New York tech ecosystem. And thank you so much to Dawn, everyone that helped me pull that together. I think that's definitely one of the highlights of the journey thus far. And it has legs, and just I want it to be a little toddler and grow and go to college and do all the things. Yeah.
Thank you.
Worries. Last questions? Thank you guys so much.
All right, thank you, Annalisa.